Well, so yeah, that's the first thing they need to do, right? They need to figure out one, what is the lead magnet? What is it that I'm going to give away for free? And there's, I guess, before I go into setting it up, let me give a few different examples. So of course, the ebook is what we've already talked about. How-to guides, right? So how to sell Liberty to your friends and family. People love like checklists or worksheets. So that's actually something that I give away. So my lead magnet, so it's again, I'm more in the music business space, but my lead magnet is literally a checklist on how to promote your shows. There's a 12-week checklist. So 12 weeks out, you do this. 11 weeks out, you do this. You just check it off as you go along.
Can I pause for a second and just note that we got Brian on here who's getting Congressman Massey on, and our typical lineup includes like homeless people that believe in Bigfoot.
Welcome to the Brian Nichols Show, your source for common sense politics on the We Are Libertarians network. The Brian Nichols Show is the fastest growing liberty podcast that brings together people from all means of political thought as we seek to have meaningful conversations about the issues you care about. At the Brian Nichols Show, our goal is to leave the audience educated, enlightened, and informed. And now your host, Brian Nichols.
Well, happy Monday there, folks. Brian Nichols here on the Brian Nichols Show. Yes, we are back on to our regularly scheduled programming, Monday Marketing. We are getting back into the swing of things. We missed him last week. Unfortunately, I was in Indiana, didn't have the chance to record like normal, but have no fear. He is back and ready to talk all things marketing. Chris Goyzueta, welcome back to the program, my friend.
Mr. Brian, what's going on?
Not much, my brother. Chris Goyzueta, professor of marketing. Thank you for joining us again on our Monday marketing episode. Let's have a fun conversation about landing pages. People are like, oh boy, a libertarian podcast, and we're talking about landing pages? What does that have to do with anything? Or lead magnets, excuse me. Well, how about this?
Lead magnets lead to landing pages.
I was going to say, they go hand in hand. But lead magnets, they're like, what is this lead magnets, and how does this correlate with libertarian politics? Don't worry. We're going to show you. We're going to kind of show the value in terms of making sure you have lead magnets in place. But let's kind of start off. And I kind of maybe was showing a little bit behind the scenes talking about landing pages. But let's start out with lead magnets, Chris. What are lead magnets, and what are their importance as it pertains to the political world?
So lead magnets are known by a few different other things. So if you're searching around marketing blogs out there on the internet or listening to marketing podcasts, it's also called an opt-in, a freebie, a giveaway, free offer, or the ethical bribe. But a lead magnet, basically what this is doing, you're building a list. You're taking people off of the social media platforms and not where you are renting your audience, right? And they can change their algorithms at any single time, and it includes running ads. And we've had some issues running ads lately because they're getting stricter and stricter on what you can and cannot promote. So we're taking people off the platforms, and we're owning the audience by building our own lists. And a lead magnet is basically a valuable piece of content that you give to your audience for free in exchange for their name and email address, or it could also be a phone number if you're building a text messaging list, or if you're trying to build a Discord channel. You can also get their Discord information by joining your Discord group. But I prefer email as the most powerful one to bring your audience to, and then because you can bring them from email to your Discord or anything else that you're creating and selling, and you can directly communicate now to your audience by building lists through lead magnets.
Case study time, BrianNicholsShow.com. You guys hear this every single episode. I push you guys to go get what? Our amazing free ebook, 4 easy steps you can implement now to sell liberty to friends and family. And all I ask, Chris, is what? For their email address. Because then not only do I collect my list of my audience, the people that I want to talk to, because God forbid tomorrow Zuckerberg and Dorsey decide to nuke my Twitter and Facebook. All of a sudden I'm losing over 11,000, I guess, reaches over on Twitter, and 15-ish, I think, thousand reaches over on Facebook. So that's what, 25-ish or so, or 30,000 people that all of a sudden are just gone from my ability to talk to. So of course I want to make sure we're in touch. So that's why I also have a landing page as well on my website for people to go ahead and just opt into my email list if you're interested. But yes, the ebook was that original entry opt-in for you guys to become a member of the Brian Nichols Show email list. And then what do, Chris? We pump out content over on that email list with my morning sales huddle, or also with our weekly show in review. And we're going to be adding a bunch of other little, giveaways and stuff in the email campaigns. So obviously we want to make sure folks are directed that way. But that's a real life example. We use it here on the program. We see other great libertarian orgs like Tom Woods and his program, doing his free ebooks and so forth. There's other organizations who do very similar things, and it's important to look to see how it works and to see the value that it brings forward. So let's talk about that, though, Chris. The value aspect is important because you can't just offer things for the sake of offering them. Dig into that a little bit. What would be a good idea? And we obviously talked about the ebook we did here for the program, but other ideas for maybe candidates or so forth beyond the greater political sphere.
Well, so before I get to what some things that we could do, right? So Tom Woods, as you mentioned, does it great. We have the ebook as well, and you talked about value. The most important thing is offering value to people, right? So the freebie that you're giving away, or the lead magnet, it has to be so good that when people like opt in to get it, and you have free things to offer. Let's say you're offering a paid course or workshops, or you just have a Patreon page where you have some other additional exclusive content to go along with your podcast, or you're a candidate and you wanted to give people more access to you by having monthly workshops through your Patreon. But the lead magnet also has to offer value. If you're not offering value, then they're not going to opt in. It's going to be something that either helps educate them or brings them some kind of entertainment, something that's going to give them more information. And once they're on your email list, it's also important to remember to continue offering value, right? So as Brian mentioned, we do the morning sales huddles now every day, Monday through Friday. We send out an email with some really amazing sales tips. And that's value because it's learning you how to become a better salesperson at selling whatever, selling liberty, selling you as a candidate, right? Whatever it is that you're selling, these tips are going to help you become a better salesperson. So it's educational value that he's offering. We're not just sending out daily e-blasts to buy a course, to join the Patreon, or to buy a piece of merch. We're literally offering value. Actually, we could probably get a little bit better at selling something.
I was going to say, do we? I think the only thing we really do at the end of every email is I say, hey, here's the link to the podcast, and then obviously the Patreon. But at the end of the day, I mean, the main thing that I guess we really push on you guys is the Libertarian Swag over at Proud Libertarian. And that's, I mean, yeah, that's because it's the Brian Nichols Show branded stuff. But at the same point in time, this is stuff that we can use to help pique interest. And I kind of look at it as giving you guys access to tools. What can you have? I mean, I'll give you a real life example. The Don't Hurt People, Don't Take People's Stuff bumper sticker. I was in Philadelphia with some friends, and I had a lefty friend who, like, they had read that, and they know I'm in politics and stuff, but they overtly agreed with that premise. Now, if you can start with that being kind of the foundational, agreement of a conversation, then as you start to come across those more difficult to discuss topics, or maybe the areas you do have some disagreements, you can revert back to that thing. So I look at this as something as value as well. And let's look at the ebook. I mean, the ebook is something that I saw was a demand in the greater liberty world, that there was nobody really answering the bell. I mean, we have people who are amazing salespeople, but was there anybody really teaching how to do this? And that's kind of where I started my entire transition for the show. And then also saying, but more importantly, and I think we're seeing right now, Chris, the value of what you're doing is to know your audience, because too often we've seen, and I'm telling you to kind of pull away from lead magnets for a second, but too often than not, we've seen the libertarian messaging go towards the wrong market, towards the wrong audience, and focusing our energy, our time, our effort, our money ineffectively. So it's making sure that we are focusing on the right people with the right messaging and with the right value. And that value, again, is going to be subjective, but it's going to be based on who it is you're talking to. So when we're building these lead magnets, whatever these opt-ins or freebies may be, make sure that it is tailored towards your audience. Basically going back to what we talk about every single day. Number one, meet people where you're at. Number two, know your audience. So whatever you're presenting, make sure it's checking those two boxes.
And speaking of value, like when I get on email lists, I mean, I'm wearing a Joe Jorgensen shirt, love Joe Jorgensen, but every single email that I got from her campaign was asking for money.
Yep.
And it's like, I've already donated. I've already given the shirt. What else can I do? Send me maybe a list of how I can volunteer and help the campaign instead of asking for money every single time, because that's no value. That's not offering no value to me. And as much as I wanted to support every single time, I couldn't give money every single time. So offer me some real value, right? So that's what we're getting at. Like, Brian could be doing better with selling, but the value is there in every single email. So candidates need to get better at not just always selling and asking for donations, and just, even with selling liberty, right, offering value to people, as you mentioned with the bumper sticker. You and Jeremy talked about this like your last episode, but that really resonated with me as well. Like, so how can you offer value, right? So instead of always talking about guns and marijuana as libertarians, why not speak stronger against lockdowns? Why not speak stronger for all the other issues that are there that we could be supporting? School choice, right? All the different things that we stand for. Offer, like, meet people where they're at and offer real value to those people, and not just get caught up talking about guns and marijuana all the time, which is what we're stereotypically getting labeled for. So find real ways to offer value to people.
I love it. Well, let's go back to our lead magnets. We talked about the creating the value. So we have an idea. We now are in the process of how do we make this happen. So I teased it earlier, landing pages. For example, when you go ahead to briannicholsshow.com/Liberty Friends ebook, hint, hint, you will go ahead to a landing page where you will get really prompted to enter your email address in, and then you will get sent the free ebook, as well as get entered into our email campaign. That's just one way. Chris, what are some other ways that people can go ahead and start implementing lead magnets now?
Well, so that's the first thing they need to do, right? They need to figure out, one, what is the lead magnet? What is it that I'm going to give away for free? And there's, I guess, before I go into setting it up, let me give a few different examples. So of course the ebook is what we've already talked about. How-to guides, right? So how to sell liberty to your friends and family. People love like checklists or worksheets. So that's actually something that I give away. So my lead magnet, so again, I'm more in the music business space, but my lead magnet is literally a checklist on how to promote your shows. It's a 12-week checklist. So 12 weeks out, you do this. 11 weeks out, you do this. You just check it off as you go along. You can give people early and exclusive access to things. Angela McArdle does a great job with this on her Patreon, which she could probably even use as a lead magnet. But whenever she's at an event or gives a speech, a lot of times she will share the speech that she gave, which would be a great lead magnet. And why not record it and have it written out? And then give away both, right? So sign up for my email list to hear my last speech at Freedom Fest. I don't know if she spoke at Freedom Fest, but let's say she spoke at Freedom Fest. Sign up for my email list, get the recording of my
By the way,
speech,
just somebody make sure we tag Angela so she's not missing this, because I want her to actually do this. This is like a really good idea.
Thanks. But yeah, I think it's a great idea too, right? So sign up for my email list, hear my speech at Freedom Fest, and you get the text version of it for those who prefer to read, and you get the video version. And you know what? Even throw in the audio version, and then they can even download it on their phone and listen to the audio while they're going on a walk or they're driving, right? Then you could also do, there's a lead magnet idea called 15 Minutes of Fame, where you collect personal stories from your supporters, and then you share those stories, right? So if you're a candidate, especially, like, share real life stories from local people of what the issues that they care about. So meeting people where they're at. So give them their 15 minutes of fame on your platforms. You can do giveaways and contests, opportunity to win something like signed merch or personalized items. Let's say you love drawing on the side, or painting, or whatever it is that you might be a hobby, like do a giveaway, or you make bracelets, give away some bracelets. A lot of cool things you can do. You can do a one-on-one hangout or a happy hour with your followers, right? There's another lead magnet that's called free shipping and handling campaigns, where you basically give away your shirts for free, and all people have to do is pay for shipping and handling. Or you can even say you pay what you think it's worth, and then now you have lead magnet with a potential revenue stream, right? For the gamers out there, cheat sheets to games. People love quizzes and resource lists. Those are all different types of lead magnets you could create for people to opt in and sign up for your email lists.
And now I can actually go. So this is the sales guy in me. We do this all the time. I'm like, let's go. Let's get the people's names. Damn it. Chris, now we've actually gotten the ideas. And right now people can start to brainstorm. So, I mean, I would actually challenge people, if you're listening to the episode and you're kind of doing this in a workbook type of a way, make sure you're ready, taking notes. And by the way, there are tools out there you can utilize to help with this. And candidly, stuff that we're utilizing here at the show, things like Otter AI for transcription for the different episodes, so you can get the text formats. Use that, to help when you're doing stuff. If you're making multiple forms of content, why not, use the different tools at your disposal and then be able to go out and use multiple different forms of communication, the text, the video, the audio. Go for it all. That's why you got me doing the YouTubes. I never thought I'd be doing a YouTube channel. And when you were first in the show and we were talking afterwards, you said, why not? And I was like, why not, Chris? Really, why not? And yeah, thankfully you got me going. And now we're already at 115 subscribers. And we've been doing this for a couple of months. So I'm cool with that. And it's a strong base, a good group of people. So let's go back, right, to now we're talking about those lead magnets. Let's go back to the landing pages. I hinted at that. What else is there out there, Chris?
So the landing page is where people will go to sign up to get your lead magnet, right? And there's a few different platforms out there that you can set that up with. My personal favorite, which is what Brian and I use, is MailChimp. So you can literally set up a landing page through MailChimp that will be your lead magnet. And then when people sign up for that lead magnet, a freebie, then they get added to a list in your MailChimp account, right? It's easy ways to set that up. But basically you're adding tags, and then whenever someone fills out that list has a tag, and that tag gets added to a specific email list. And if you do the free version, you only have one option of a list. But if you do the paid version of like MailChimp, and not selling MailChimp, I'll tell you guys about some other platforms as well. But if you do the paid version, you can literally create different groups, right? So when you're starting out, you should only have one lead magnet and just get comfortable with the whole process and setting it up. But in the future, especially like Tom Woods, I mean, he has multiple lead magnets. I don't know how his backend platform is set up, but I know I've signed up several times for his AOC book, for the COVID charts book, and all kinds of cool things that he gives away. But in the future, you could even test lead magnets and then have them all sort through different audience groups within a platform like MailChimp. But there's also other platforms like Constant Contact. ClickFunnels is a popular one. And I just found out recently about one called Active Campaign, which apparently is being used by politicians. I don't know how good it is, but that's another platform out there. But you can create a landing page with these platforms. And then Brian's is, briannicholsshow.com/Liberty Friends. So wherever your domain lives, whether it's on, Google Domains or GoDaddy, and quick shout out to GoDaddy. We had to deal with them the other day, and you can call them 24/7. So I think I'm going to start taking my domains back to GoDaddy. But anyway, but through those domains, wherever your domain lives, you can now set up another link, right? Or wherever your website lives. So if you use Squarespace, you could create Squarespace or briannicholsshow.com/lead magnet. And then link will go to your landing page that you set up through MailChimp or whatever. And that's where you begin to start building up your lists.
Then what? I mean, I'm fascinated because this is the stuff that it's so, basic it sounds, but your average libertarian campaign isn't doing this stuff, Chris. So they've gone ahead. Now they have, number one, the content that is valuable that they're giving out. They've developed the means to actually capture this information. Then what? What's the next step? I mean, is it consistency, maybe? Putting out content on the regular?
Well, content on the regular should be regardless, right? So we talked about funnels or customer journeys before, and the consistent content out there, that's a free way to build a top of funnel campaign, right? And then in your podcast episodes, you can now talk about the lead magnet, as Brian always does. Brian Nichols Show briannicholsshow.com/Liberty Friends. Go there to sign up for the ebook. And he mentions on the podcast all the time. So if you listen to enough episodes and you're interested in learning how to sell Liberty to your friends, then you're going to go to that link and you're going to sign up. So that's one place where you can mention that. You can also run ads to lead people to your lead magnet. And with ads, ideally, you want to build the whole funnel system, right? Where you first have an ad where they see a video, then they see another video. And by the time they see the third or fourth one, that's maybe when you send them to your lead magnet. And yes, you could send them the first time. I like being more aggressive these days too, but the value in really building a funnel through ads, and if you're interested in learning how to run ads, go back to our ads episode. But you can build a funnel through ads, and the whole theory to having multiple layers and not sending people to your lead magnet until like the fourth layer is because you're trying to develop trust and a relationship, right? And if they've seen 50% of 4 different videos that are anywhere from a minute to 3 minutes long, and you've watched those videos all the way through and you've retargeted them with additional videos, then they're very likely, right? That's a warm audience now, and they're very likely to sign up for your lead magnet. If you're doing a podcast and you're trying to do the free way, if you're mentioning it 4 times a week on your show, as Brian is, and you're someone that listens to enough episodes, eventually you're going to say, okay, let me sign up for this because Brian keeps talking about it. I want to support Brian. This sounds like a really cool thing, right? So it's that consistency, building trust over time by having additional content over and over again. And then the most important thing, once they sign up for that lead magnet, is that thank you email. It's just a quick little thank you email they receive. And of course, the email has the lead magnet attached. And that's something a lot of candidates even get wrong, right? A lot of candidates have the email sign up on their website, but it's just an email sign up to now send your audience ask emails constantly for money. So why not, when they go on your page, right, on your candidate page, there's a pop-up, get my free ebook on this, or get my free workshop on that, right? And what we can do for your local area and what my campaign's based on. And it's all wrapped into like one beautiful package versus you having to dig through the website or dig through all the interviews I've done, right? So create that lead magnet, people sign up for that, and then they receive that right away. And again, it's a pop-up on your website. So when they go to your website, it pops up, they sign up for that, get that free lead magnet, they receive a thank you email, send them a few more things to offer value, right? So as a candidate, maybe guide them through other past content you've done, or this is a debate I've done with someone to, I don't know, give you an opportunity to hear me on a debate stage, whatever it is. But send them a few more emails, 2 or 3, offering some additional value, guiding them through what you've already done. And then the 4th email says, hey, if these past emails that I've sent you gave you some value, I would love for you to support my campaign. Would you be willing to chip in $20, whatever it is, right? And you have that. And even better yet, if you are able to do the whole subscription thing, you can do some kind of subscription where they're paying you $5 to $20 a month. So it's better to get $5 a month from someone for an entire year campaign versus them giving $20 one time, because they're getting $5 a month, you're getting $60 out of that. So I love the subscription model.
Chris Goyzueta, my goodness, we could go on and on and on, but unfortunately, we're already coming close to time. How does it already happen that fast? But let's do this, because I want to make sure, as we're going towards this tail end of the conversation, let's give some actionable steps for candidates. So let's go. I know we've had dozens of candidates at this point in the program for our Sunday Candidate Highlight Series, from local office, as low as, I think, dog catcher, essentially, up to folks who are running for U.S. Senator. I know, no dog catchers yet. But I mean, for all those candidates in between, what would you give as some advice if they're maybe just trying to figure out how to start this kind of a campaign off, or something along those lines? What would be your kind of Chris Goyzueta words of wisdom?
Words of wisdom. Create consistent content, which we've already talked about. So go back to the content episode and learn about why it is powerful to be a content creator, right? There's not enough podcasts out there. There's not enough YouTube channels out there. If you're intimidated by all the podcasts and YouTube channels out there, there isn't one for your local area, right? Most of them focus on national big picture, worldwide, global big picture. But there isn't a podcast out there that is focused on your local community, your local city. But you could be the #1 podcast in your city.
I will give you, I don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah.
So a real life case study of how this works. Go listen to the most recent episode over on the Big Channel. So yours truly went across half of the United States to Indiana this past week. And we went to the We Are Libertarians pool party, and it was all the network shows. We have, I think, 14 or 13 or so shows collectively on the greater network, and incredibly diverse. I mean, Remzo is kind of borderline conservative. Yours truly is obviously in the kind of conservatarian, libertarian world, just kind of pro-liberty world. You have folks who are more left-leaning, right-leaning. It doesn't matter. But there is one show on the network called The Boss Hog of Liberty, led by Jeremiah Morrill and Dakota Davis. And in Newcastle, Indiana, It is quite literally the most important media entity in the area, because pretty much no candidate, no sitting member of governing office in Newcastle goes through their careers without stepping foot in that studio to talk to Jeremiah and Dakota, because they have created such a number one, a known entity, but a trusted entity in their community to objectively approach these issues, that people will listen, they tune in. So it was funny you brought that up, because to your point, that's one of the only real life examples I can think of having a direct impact by being that specific niche. And in this case, being a podcast focusing on local politics in Newcastle, Indiana. Back to you, Chris.
It's all good. So, yeah, even speaking of that, your local area, right? Most local cities are, local cities or towns are pretty big in the United States, and even your counties are pretty big. You have a few thousand people, probably in even I don't know what the smallest county is, but all you need, there's the rule of 1,000 true fans. So having 1,000 people that are willing to give you $100 a year, and that's $100,000 a year. That's a lot. That's great. That's good money, right? You can do your podcast full time if you're getting $100,000 a year from your podcast. What about if it's 60,000? What about if you have 1,000 people in your local community contributing $5 a month to your Patreon page, $60 a year? That's $60,000 a year to do your podcast, and you really don't need much of a team to do that. And if you are running for office, you're a candidate, you probably can have volunteers help you with some of the marketing and the other aspects of your podcast. And a challenge I have, anybody that's part of any local libertarian chapters. So I'm part of the Orange County, Florida Libertarian chapter, and it's a challenge to myself now too, but not that I need more on my plate, but every local chapter, why not start a podcast about your local area and feature businesses from your local area and entrepreneurs and charities and students doing really cool stuff in your area. I'm just, when I was a student, we used to go feed the homeless every week, and we get Frankie, who helps us with the podcast. She has Feed Philly. There's a lot of great groups out there that are doing cool things, and why not feature those people on your local podcast that focus on the local areas? Imagine if every local chapter did that, or majority of local chapters started doing that, and really start building an audience. And now when they have a candidate that they're trying to push for city commissioner or for state house, or for state senate, now you already have a captive audience that has now come to your podcast because you're sharing real things that are happening in your local community with real solutions. And now when you have a candidate you're pushing, that's going to give that candidate so much more of a boost. I think there'd be a huge advantage if the local LPs started a local podcast.
Now imagine this. I'll paint a picture for you as we wrap the show. Imagine Joe Rogan decides in 2024, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to run for president, right? Do you think he would have trouble getting attention nationally? Do you think he would have trouble getting on maybe the debate stage? They wouldn't be doing the hashtag let him speak. Why? Yeah. Because Joe Rogan owns his audience. He owns the platform. Sure, he's with Spotify. You think if Spotify cuts Joe Rogan, that he's not going to pop right back up with the audience that he already has? Of course he will. And he'll probably end up having more, because at the end of the day, I know I don't listen to Joe Rogan as much when he went to Spotify. I don't really use Spotify. So, but at the same point in time, if he was available again on a normal podcasting app, I would listen. So look at Joe Rogan. He owns his audience. He's able to talk to people, to set the narrative. And this is one thing I go back to. I always refer to this on my show. We need to stop responding to narratives and instead start setting narratives. This is why. So on the network, Caleb Franz has a show called Profiles in Liberty. And what he's focusing on right now is making sure that we're setting the record straight on these different characters throughout history and their role, and really the history of who they were and their views. And I mean, for example, his first episode was on Thomas Jefferson and focusing on the misconceptions that are often leveled out as accusations from the left, and addressing those from, the context of his time and who he was as a person, his actual personal beliefs, adding all those factors into the profile in Liberty. And it's important, I think, that we also do this to make sure that we're setting the narrative straight, because at the end of the day, if Joe Rogan were to run for president, they couldn't shut him up. And that's the point. You don't want to ever find yourself in a position where you're asking to be heard, where you're saying, please let me speak. No, they need to know you're there. and they're going to know you're there. And that's a type of approach you need to have. But how do you get there? You first have to build up that audience. That's why it's so important to own the audience. And I would dare say, I mean, goodness, if Joe Rogan did run, he would be damn near impossible to silence because of the fact he has such a control and he has built up such trust with his audience. His audience will find a way to listen. So, I mean, hey, folks, if you're looking for a case study, there you go. Chris Goyzueta, we're already hard pressed here on time, my friend, unfortunately. So with that being said, of course, we want to give you last words here on the program. Also, social media plugs of that. Chris Goyzueta, go.
If anyone starts a lead magnet or comes up with an idea for a lead magnet, share it on Twitter. Tag Brian and me. We would love to check it out. And you know what? Whoever has the best one, I'll sit down with y'all over Zoom for an hour. Maybe Brian will join me. But if you want to create a lead magnet, tag both of us. Share your idea, and we'll pick the best one in the next week or two. And I'll sit down with them for an hour to give them
my eyes lit up on that one. I'm game for that. That sounds like fun because then we can actually start to play around with this stuff and figure out, we can test, a little bit too, which I like. So yes, thank you, Chris. I like that idea. Social media, where can folks go ahead and follow you, my friend?
If you go to makingitwithchrisg.com, all my social media links are there, but mostly it's at makingitchrisg, and then on Twitter it's at makingitwithchrisg.
I just realized something. So I think, this is cool. We're going to be hanging out soon, by the way. And folks, they're all prepared. That's right. We're going to Orlando, baby. Brian Nichols Show, heading down to Young Americans for Liberty.
Yes.
Revolution 21, Orlando, Florida, August 5th through the 7th. I was laughing because I was like, dude, we can record in person this episode next time. Yeah. Because I'm going to be down there with you. You're going to be, you're from Orlando, so you're going to be helping me out at Revolution 21. So number one, let's kind of step back there, folks. I got excited. Step back. If you're going to be at Revolution 21, please make it a point to stop by the booth. We're going to be on Media Row. Would love to see you guys. Chris, what do we have lined up for Media Row? We have so much stuff's going to be happening there.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully doing some interviews on site with some people. We're gonna have some links to some merch and check out all the newest cool stuff. Get a chance to hang out with us, and I mean, not that I'm really cool, but get a chance to hang out with Brian and take a picture of Brian, and just say what's up. I mean, we just want to hang out with some people in the Liberty movement and see how we can support you guys from the Liberty and marketing perspective and help you run better campaigns. Yeah,
and there's going to be so many amazing people there. I know Jess Mears. I saw her at the We Are Libertarians pool party. She's going to be in town again. Oh, cool. Was DMing Corey DeAngelis. Actually, I was like, hey, Corey, let's get you back in the show and talk about how you've been selling the actual ideas of school choice. He's like, game. And then we were figuring out, because he's traveling like crazy right now too. And I was like, well, hey, after Revolution 21, maybe we can sync. He's like, dude, I'm going to be at Revolution 21. So we're going to hook up at some point in time and get a conversation recorded there. But yes, I'm looking so much forward to seeing folks. This is like my first big event outside of, the inner network stuff of seeing people. So this is exciting because Philadelphia is still weird. And I think it's going to get weirder because you got Fauci saying that the CDC is now reconsidering doing the mask mandates for people who are vaccinated. Yeah. Oh, that won't, get rid of any incentive for people to get vaccinated at all. I mean, my goodness, this is getting to the point now. It's like when that one kid wouldn't shut up in class and the teacher punished the rest of the kids. Like, this isn't how this is supposed to work. You're creating negative incentives. I'm not even going to argue about the merits of the vaccine. If you want to take it, go for it. If you don't, that's fine. Like, that's not the conversation. It's if you want people to take this vaccine. And I've had this argument with my crazy friends who are so focused on the trust the science stuff that they don't even know how to have a conversation anymore. Right. They're like, you're going to be killing people. I'm like, this isn't how you sell this to a person. You don't belittle people. You don't tell them that they're bad people. You have to create
quit virtue signaling.
Yes, well, you have to create the better future, right? But in the positive way, help craft that hero's journey and telling the story of how this helps somebody else and the value of it. I don't know, like, just go. Don't be a dick, though. At the end of the day, stop being a dick. And
it's about meeting people where they're at, and like, we've got to be allowed to ask questions, right? It's, I mean,
libertarian science friends too. Like, goodness gracious.
Yeah, science is about the scientific method, which is all about asking questions. And even when you found an answer, you continue to ask questions and challenge that answer, because is it really the real answer?
Exactly.
And that's not allowed anymore. We're not allowed to even ask the question. When I have a lot of questions about a lot of things related to all these things.
Dr. Bajan on my episode there back on Wednesday, he goes, Brian, thank you for raising up the F word, freedom, because we're not allowed to talk about that anymore.
Yeah.
And I thought that was curious to hear a professor who he's a doctor, he's a professor at Duke University, but his doctor, I mean, he's I forget how many awards. You look at the video of him on the program, and his entire wall, literally his entire wall, is just filled with accolades and awards. And to hear him, one of the most noted people in his field of study, saying how difficult it is to have conversations, to even use the words like freedom.
Right.
What? How is that a scientific discourse? How are you allowed to question things? I don't give a I almost swore. I don't give a bleep if it's peer reviewed. By who? By the same people that you try to muzzle in terms of how they're allowed to approach things. And don't even get me started on the idea that the scientific community can't be bought off by money. They all, my friends in the left, you will be so quick to go after the people on the right in terms of the power of money and how easy it is to be corrupted. And it's like, who do you think the government is?
Yeah.
They have the ultimate monopoly on this. And then you apply that to the scientific industries, and it is an industry, without a doubt. I mean, if your grant is only going to exist when you continue your conversation and your study about specific issues, of course you have an incentive structure in place to maintain that study. Like this isn't hard. Like I'm sorry. I'm going off on a rant.
Well, speaking of political rants, so speaking of people, rants and meeting people where they're at and giving them value. Like if they try to force these mask mandates again and lockdowns again, and we fail again, then the Libertarian Party just sucks. I'm sorry. Like we did a horrible job speaking against lockdowns, and the reason people like Shane Hazel got twice as many votes as George Jorgensen in Georgia is because when they told him to lock down, he said, F you. I almost said it. And we need to, if we're going to stand for freedom and liberty, we need to show that by actions. And as you and Jeremy talked about last week, it's not just about selling marijuana and guns, right? Making all gun laws unconstitutional, whatever it is, right? But when it comes to the most important thing, freedom, we need to stand for that. And when this first started, nobody know what it was. We all kind of played our part. But now that a year and change later, man, like seeing people in France yesterday, in London, and in Sydney, and Italy, South Africa, that was so inspiring. And if they try to start this shit here, like I hope we stand and try to stand with our neighbors and sell liberty to everybody, because it's working in the world. And if anybody guilt trips you about being on the wrong side of history, being on the side of liberty has 100% always been the right side of history throughout humanity. So anyone that's telling you what to do, they're on the wrong side of history.
And to quote Dr. Bajan, freedom is nature. Yeah. Freedom is science. Like to fight freedom is quite literally to fight the ideas of nature, the ideas of things to be able to happen so long as they are allowed to happen freely.
Yeah.
That was something that was so profound, Chris, when he said that. And I think that's something that we need to make sure we're articulating more, especially to the folks out there who they're weary of freedom. And I saw someone had posted about the classical thinkers in the 1700s and how they were able to just think of something and then it was a universal truth. And you have all these PhD scientists, these poor PhD students who they go ahead and they put together all their peer-reviewed stuff and they're like, I hope it's good enough. It's like, no. At the end of the day, there are universal truths. And if you can't agree to those universal truths of moral good and moral bad, then I'm sorry. I don't care if everybody agrees in your collective community on what that little niche group says is good or bad. Like, okay, do that for you then. Do that for the people you want to talk to. But let's go back because unfortunately, we're at 30 seconds. We did this last time too. We're just keep on talking because we have a lot to say. And damn it, folks, you're going to pay attention and hear us say it. So with that being said,
speaking of freedom and lockdowns, one little shout out to some friends in our community. Go if you want to see a really amazing, powerful trailer on a documentary that's being made against lockdowns and sharing the real science, the real data that's out there, not the narrative, go to fundraiser.com. That's fundrazr.com/follow the science, and check out the amazing new trailer that the Soundmind Creative Group put out for their documentary that they're working on.
Beat me to it. That was next on my list. There's a little trick I like to use. It's in my sticky note approach. If I know if there are things I always will forget to mention, I put it. And I have it right here. Soundmind right there.
Nice.
So anyways, yes, Soundmind Creative Group. Those guys are doing phenomenal work. I know a friend of the show, Hannah Cox, messaged me and she said she had a great conversation with them over at Freedom Fest. Nice. And glad to hear they made a great impression up there. So great work, gents. But yes, they are doing amazing work. And to the point we were talking about earlier, it's important to make sure that when we see organizations, we see groups of people who are setting the record, setting the narrative straight from the liberty world. Like we need to support these people. So they just passed, I think it's $100,000 over on Fundraiser. So keep the momentum going. If you want to go ahead and make sure you're supporting libertarian, not even libertarian, just pro real science folks who are setting the narrative straight on what's happened here, go support the amazing docuseries Follow the Science on lockdown and liberty. With that being said, some closing notes here, some housekeeping where you can follow me at B Nichols Liberty, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We've already mentioned our amazing ebook as well as the awesome morning sales huddle. So go back if you want, I guess, learn more about that again. Well, just go back and listen to the episode again. We talked all about that, but that's briannicholsshow.com/Liberty Friends ebook for the landing page. So you can go ahead and sign up there. Also, briannicholsshow.com/shop. That is where you can go ahead and find our amazing shop from Proud Libertarian Chris. We have so many new things popping into that shop. I'm blown away. Colin and Hunter.
Don't nuke me, bro.
Don't nuke me, bro. Yeah. So Colin's our new guy helping us out with some graphic design here at the program. Hunter obviously has been doing a lot of work as well. I've been tossing some stuff in there here and there. So we have our Don't Nuke Me Bro, Joe Biden crop top hoodies. We have our brand new Facebook extremist t-shirts. Also, we have our brand new Science is Freedom and Science is Nature shirts, which I'm so stoked about. Also, we have, I think, those in hats and then maybe like cups and a few other things as well. Tons of stuff. briannicholsshow.com/shop. Also, everything at Proud Libertarian, by the way, the entire shop, if you use code TBNS, 10% at checkout. That includes the Brian Nichols Show shop as well. And then the final ask, and that is for you amazing folks out there who are like, you know what? I hear the message and I feel so driven to help support the program. Here's what you can do. briannicholsshow.com/support. You can become a Patreon supporting listener. And we already have an amazing, amazing group of Patreon supporters who I cannot thank enough. And I really quickly want to run through them. Daryl Schmitz, Laura Stanley, Michael Lemma, Mitchell Mankiewicz, Hody Johns, Craig DaCosta, and the big We Are Libertarians Network. Thank you to that amazing group for already helping us out. And also that group is getting access to our brand new Brian Nichols Show Patreon webinar, where we're going to be having a roundtable conversation. And if you are part of the Patreon, you get live access to that conversation. And also the members of the audience, of course, I will be curating questions from you guys as well. But if you want to take part in that conversation, well, please head to briannicholsshow.com/support, $5 or $10 a month. Either way, Chris, they know what they get. What is it? Don't hurt people. Don't take their stuff. That's right. $5 a month, $10 a month. You get the awesome new bumper sticker. But of course, you just want to go ahead and get that bumper sticker. briannicholsshow.com/shop. But this way is much more important, and you get a lot more value, and you get to hang out with us, which is a lot of fun too. Chris Goyzueta, that's all I had for this week. Any final thoughts for the audience as we wrap up, my friend?
That's all I got this week too. I think
rock and roll.
Covered a lot of ground. Go create your lead magnet and share it with us.
Love it.
Especially for a candidate.
All right. Well, there you go, folks. That's all we have for you today on our Monday marketing episode. But heading up here on Wednesday, Mark Schneider is a great conversation to make sure you tune into, because actually Jeremy Todd got me interested in this, saying, Brian, we should be talking to folks about nuclear energy. And I'm like, dude, you are 100% right. Yes. And Mark Schneider is a nuclear energy expert. So all the questions you might have, Mark digs into and completely just sets the record straight. Hit that subscribe button so you're not missing a single episode. But with that being said, it's Brian Nichols signing off. You're on the Brian Nichols Show for Chris Goyzueta. We'll see you Wednesday.
Thanks for listening to The Brian Nichols Show. Find more episodes at briannicholsshow.com.